This episode contains discussions of domestic abuse, addiction, perinatal and postpartum depression, and the sudden loss of a parent. These topics may be distressing or triggering for some listeners. Please take care while listening and prioritize your mental and emotional well-being.
For the haters, come on, do it now or later. Yeah. It don't matter what your name is, share your story, we'll be waiting. For the haters, whoa.
Welcome back to For the Haters, everyone. Today's episode is an important conversation about resilience, healing, and the realities of perinatal and postpartum depression. Our guest has been through an incredibly difficult journey, navigating an abusive relationship, overcoming addiction, experiencing deep grief, and fighting for her mental health while raising her daughter. She's here to share her story in hopes of shedding light on the struggles so many people face, but don't always talk about. This conversation is raw, real, and necessary. Let's get into it. Nicole, welcome to
Hello.
For the Haters.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Girl, I'm happy you're here. Let's start off. Can you just introduce yourself a little bit about your journey before your daughter was born?
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name's Nicole. I'm originally from Winston-Salem, North Carolina, actually a tiny little town called Town that no one's ever heard of. So it's just easier to say Winston sometimes. I have one younger brother. He's 3.5 years younger. I had a pretty typical, childhood growing up. I played softball until I blew out my shoulder and had to have surgery when I was 17. So that sucked that got taken away because I really enjoyed it. Felt like that was one things I was good at. And I spent a lot of time with my grandparents, my Nana and Papa. I was there probably a majority of my childhood just because I was the first grandchild and first girl, and my Nana spoiled me to death. And actually, my daughter, her middle name is my Nana, so she's named after my Nana.
Cute.
So I was teased a lot in high school, and I feel like that plays a part in my entire story just because low self-esteem and stuff is the big factor of depression, which I know we'll get into. But yeah, pretty typical, normal childhood. Has some still great childhood friends that I'm still friends with to this day. And yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I think it's important to get to know people a little bit just because it sets the picture. You're always questioning of like, oh, I wonder what their childhood was like, that like around the decisions. And so to get a little deeper into everything, you spent 7 years in an abusive relationship, and I'm hoping that you can just kind of talk about what that experience was like and what ultimately kind of gave you that strength to leave.
Yeah, so I met him at Bowman Gray Stadium, which is a famous small town track, I guess. It's in Winston-Salem. It actually just had the NASCAR clash there. It was the first time NASCAR had been back since 1971. But I grew up there, love it, love racing. My husband works in racing, so just racing's kind of in my blood. But I had promised myself I would never date anyone that I met at Bowman Gray and broke that rule, and I found out why that was a rule. So
How old were you when this was going on?
I met him the weekend of my 21st birthday. I wanted to have a redneck birthday party, and if anyone knows about Bowman Gray, they know it is like, look up redneck in the dictionary and Bowman Gray is there. It's like it's an experience. It's so much fun. But
It sounds like it's a place I might have to come visit.
Oh, people travel from like Canada and stuff. There was a TV show about it on the History Channel, and like people went nuts for it. But yeah, so I met him there. I wanted to have a redneck birthday party. I was turning 21, so there was some drinking involved, and he came with one of my friends, well, they're not together anymore, but her boyfriend at the time. And I didn't really talk to him much during the race, and then after the race, he said he wanted my number and stuff, so I gave it to him. and we just kind of started talking, and a couple weeks later we were dating, and a couple weeks after that I was living there unintentionally, and I was there for 7 years, and it was a wild ride. He was abusive in every sense of the word, like emotionally, physically, mentally, verbally, all of the things.
Mhm.
He admitted to purposely getting me addicted to pain pills, so I would do them with him and also pay for them. So one of us would get paid one week and the other the opposite, and by Sunday all of our money would typically be gone, spent on pills.
Yeah, and looking back now, what when did those kind of like red flags start to come up, right? Like, did it start with physical? Did it start with emotional? Where were those instances that looking back now you kind of have some clearer insight into?
Oh, it was within the first month.
Right
There
away.
was yeah, right away. I don't even think it had been a month. He was there. I don't know how to say it correctly, but just I don't know if he's been diagnosed with bipolar, but he probably is, because he'd be
Mhm.
fine one second and crazy the next. And there was one instance where I was at my parents' house and I was still living with them because I just turned 21, and he was mad about something. I don't remember what now. And he started saying that he was gonna unalive himself. And I, of course, was freaking out and so upset. He ended up coming over that night and spending the night with me, and he didn't. But so that psychological and emotional abuse was there from basically the beginning. And that's
Mhm.
what he would do anytime he got upset. Like, it was always immediately going to I'm gonna kill myself, or I'm gonna go drive my truck off a bridge. I mean, just all kinds of crazy things. There was actually one time where he said he was gonna go and drive his truck off a bridge, and I went outside and like sat in his truck, and I was like, no, like, you're not gonna leave. Like, I love you. I don't want you to do this. And he started recording himself. And he said, "She will not get out of my truck. So this is me forcing her out of my truck." And he recorded himself grabbing me by the arm and throwing me to the dirt, and then getting back in his truck and leaving. I'm like, you just incriminated yourself, but okay. Like,
Yeah.
so yeah,
And
there was,
within, obviously, I've those are the story of what you're speaking to is something that people are no strangers to. That's kind of that emotional holdage that people try to hold against you, which is just an unfortunate circumstance, right? Like,
right.
it's just so toxic in nature, and there's just so much more depth to the need of conversation around what leads people to kind of put others in that situation. um you know Within your relationship, what finally made you have kind of that strength to leave?
I was just so tired of it all. I got to the point where I didn't even want to be in that house anymore.
Mm.
I would sit outside literally from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, and sit on the front porch, even in the dead of winter. So, like, covered in blankets and stuff. And I just sit on my phone, like, sit in a chair and watch Supernatural on my phone. Like, I feel like Supernatural, honestly, it sounds dramatic, but I feel like Supernatural saved my life, because it gave me a reason to want to wake up the next day, because I'd never seen it before. And I got completely addicted, and it's my comfort show now. But I was just tired of it. He cheated on me at least 7 times that I know of. That's how many times I caught him. There's no telling how many that I don't know about.
Mhm.
He totaled my car. A month before that, he had totaled his truck, and he was didn't really even care that he totaled my car, and was mad at me because I wasn't happy for him when he got his new truck and I still had no vehicle to drive, and he said I wasn't allowed to drive his truck. So
Mhm.
I knew I was never gonna have the family that I wanted or the life that I wanted if I stayed, and I was just miserable. And luckily, one of my best friends, she lived about 10 minutes away, and she let me start staying with her. She was pregnant. She was really sick. She had like she was throwing up all the time. I know it's hypermesis something. I can never pronounce it, but where you're sick constantly.
Yeah.
And so luckily I got to use that as sort of an excuse to not be there. Like, I need to be here for her in case she needs to go to the hospital or whatever. So I got to stay with her, and on the weekends I would just bawl, like, if I had to go back to that house. And since I didn't have a car, she would let me take her car. I'd go stay with my parents. And one day I was just like, I'm not coming back. Like, I'm not, I'm done. And I never even went and got my stuff. The only stuff that I had was like the couple duffel bags that I had collected going back and forth to stay with my friend. So I couldn't do it anymore. I was exhausted. I was so skinny from just the stress. My hair fell out. It was horrible. And I didn't want that for myself anymore. I just I didn't have the capacity for it anymore, and I fell out of love with him, and everything that I thought I loved, or thought I could change him, thought he would change for me. All the broken promises, I just was over it and just left
Yeah, a
and
lot of
never
people,
looked
it takes a
back.
lot of strength to leave a relationship, especially 7 years in. You're like so deep into that behavior and just don't really know anything else. And a lot of the time people find comfort in the known rather than taking that risk of kind of making it an unknown and starting it over. So you should definitely feel just a lot of strength and pride in being able to just leave that, because not a lot of people do. But I don't want to get too caught up on that, because I know now, um how many years after was it that you met your now husband, and what was that like for you? Did you, were you open to love, or did it kind of take time once you met him? How did that next step look?
It was so easy with him. When I met him, it was just, I could tell right away he was the complete opposite. He's so caring and patient and loving. And I told him about my past and my insecurities because, once someone cheats on you, that's in your mind forever and it affects the way you think constantly, even if you know that this person would never hurt you or do anything to hurt you. It's just always there in the back of your mind. But I've never had to worry about anything like that with him. He is just amazing. He showed me that there is true love and that I deserve to be treated right. Because for so long, I didn't think that I deserved love. And, the saying, you accept the love you think you deserve. And I was just so down on myself that I just thought that was all I was ever going to have. I wasn't meant for anything else. And when I met Steven, he changed my outlook on everything. He's so positive and funny and just like my rock. He's amazing. I couldn't if like there was a way to draw up the perfect man, it would be him. He's incredible.
And was it right away that you kind of found yourself becoming a new version of yourself, or or was there a time you recognize kind of that switch, right? Like, was it, because like you said, bringing past relationships into your new is something that we kind of all do, and it's really hard to trust someone new after having that trust broken for so long. So,
Right.
was that switch, like, was there this aha moment, like, wow, I'm this new person. I feel truly like myself.
I believe there was, but there wasn't, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like I knew I was so happy and people could tell the biggest difference in me. Like I said, my hair had fallen out when I was with him. My hair started growing. Like I put on I didn't look sick anymore from losing so much weight. It
Mhm.
came really easy with him, but there was still, that little piece in the back of my mind where every day when I would leave work, I felt like I had to text him and be like, "Hey, I'm on the way home." And he's like, "You don't have to tell me. Like you can just come home." So there was little things that took me a while to get used to. And, we've had very open dialogue about everything, and he does everything possible to reassure me. And so there wasn't really like one specific
Mhm.
thing. It just like they say, when you know, and it just it clicked from all basically day one.
Yeah. And how long
And
have you guys been together now?
we've been together 4 years now and
Amazing.
married for a little over 2 years.
Beautiful. I love it. I'd like to get into kind of the next topic of where we're going, which is that pregnancy and postpartum struggles. When did you first notice signs of the perinatal depression during your pregnancy? And if you could explain what that is, just in case someone might not know what perinatal depression is.
Yeah, absolutely. So perinatal depression is kind of like postpartum depression, but it's while you're pregnant. And I noticed it, I would say, very quickly. Like, my daughter was very much wanted, very much planned. We didn't think it would happen so fast, but it did. And I think that played a little bit of a factor in it, because I truly, in my heart of hearts, felt like I was going to have a really hard time getting pregnant. And um, I had been on birth control for so long, never even had a scare. And I was just worried that I wouldn't even be able to get pregnant. And when it happened so fast, I think it was like I didn't even really have time to wrap my mind around even trying, which, so many people struggle. And I feel very grateful that I was able to get pregnant the way that I was. But I think it was around, I was about 9 or 10 weeks when I noticed something just wasn't right. Like, we had found out she was a girl, which we both wanted a girl. I always wanted a little girl my whole life. And not long after that, it was just kind of like a light switch went off. And it's like, I don't want this anymore. But I mean, I'm already growing this little tiny human, and every little thing, I would be like, okay, well, once I can feel her move, I'll feel better. Well, I never got to feel her move because I have a tilted uterus, and so I barely felt her move at all. There was like a handful of times that I actually felt her move. My best friend used to joke that she was going to come out with my spine imprints on her face, where she must have been so far back, and for me to not be able to feel her move. Um, and like I said, my husband works in racing, but he does the truck series, so he's not gone every weekend, but he's gone a lot. And so when race season picked back up and I was alone, that was really hard. I'd get stuck in my own head, and I really wish we had had more time together, just me and him. And also, we got married when I was 19 weeks pregnant. That was not planned. Like, we had already booked our venue. I had got my dress, everything, and then I found out I was pregnant. And I was like, "Oh, great. So everyone's gonna get to enjoy my our wedding except for me." I mean, not that
Yeah,
you have to drink to enjoy your wedding, but, you wanna be able to
for sure.
have
Especially when
fun.
it's
And
unexpected.
right.
Yeah.
And so I just knew there was something not right away. And I've been seeing a psychiatrist since 2018 for depression and anxiety, panic attacks, all the good stuff that comes along with an abusive relationship. And I tried telling him, I was like, I feel like I'm having postpartum depression, but like while I'm pregnant. And he kind of was like, well, that typically doesn't happen until after you have the baby. So once the baby's born, we'll kind of revisit. And it just felt like everyone, like a medical professional that I talked to, just blew it off. Or, this is normal, like part of being pregnant. You're going to be emotional. Your hormones are all over the place, this, that, and the third. And I'll never forget, after that call with my psychiatrist, I just like put my head on the desk and bawled and told my friend, was like, I don't know what to do. Like, no one is willing to help me. Like, how am I supposed to get help if no one will listen to me or help me? And um when we first decided that we were going to try to get pregnant, I had an IUD, so I had to get it removed. And my OB didn't tell me. She knew I had a history of pre-existing depression and anxiety, and she didn't tell me. But if you already have that pre-existing depression, you have an 85% 85% chance higher of getting postpartum depression than if you didn't have pre-existing. That was never brought to my attention, which it should have been, because that would have been a big conversation for me and my husband to have. Like, do we want to do this right now? Do we, there just would have been a whole different conversation to make sure that what ended up happening didn't happen. So there was no knowledge or resources given to me at all. It was basically just summed up as to, well, it's because you're pregnant. And like my friend and I used to joke, like you could go in, like your arm would fall off, and they would just be like, "Oh, it's just because you're pregnant." Like everything's just because you're pregnant.
So throughout this experience, you never had help. Like this is all found, like kind of figured out afterwards, that this is what you were going through. Like no one took your concerns seriously and like being able to help you. Because even if someone validated that this is something that could happen, that alone could relieve so much stress because there's a reason for it. It's not just you. It's not just your fault that you're feeling this way.
Right. Yeah. The only person that knew everything that was going on was my best friend. Her name is Audrey. We grew up across the street from each other. I always say that she's been my best friend since the day she was born
Mm.
because she's younger than me. And I was actually keeping her son, for I was her nanny at the time. And so she was with me every day. And she's known how I am since, we were kids. And she just knew something was wrong. And she's like, I just feel like you're so sad all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I am.
I am,
Every little
yeah.
thing. And it wasn't just your regular pregnancy hormones. Like, you see something sad on TV and you're all of a sudden you're crying at like, the ASPCA commercial and stuff. It was everything. It was everything.
Mhm.
And I didn't want to burden my husband because I didn't want to take away from his experience, because this was his first child too. And he's so excited, and we both wanted this family, and I didn't want to burden him with that.
Mhm.
So Audrey was the only one who knew everything from beginning to end. And she had her own little version of perinatal depression too, but I don't want to use the term like got better, but it went away and she ended up like enjoying her pregnancy, and that just never happened for me. And I think that made the perinatal depression worse too, because this is something I had dreamed about since I was 17 years old. Like I'd wanted a baby so bad, and I finally was getting everything I ever wanted, and I was just so sad.
Yeah, you have these
And
expectations that are just completely right. If
right.
we were able to be more honest and open and free speaking to our experiences, it wouldn't be this glorified experience for everyone and allow people to have realistic expectations of life might suck for 9 months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and some people, they're so sick during their entire pregnancy, like my other best friends, and I never had any like sickness. I had extreme fatigue, and I ended up getting preeclampsia at the end.
Mhm.
So I did have her at 37 weeks, 5 days. Um, but I think just a huge part of the perinatal depression came from like I was just sad that I wasn't enjoying it. I was miserable.
Mhm.
Like I never thought I would be the one that this would happen to. And even when I would tell my other friends, they're like, "But you've wanted this for so long. Like you're getting your little girl that you've always wanted." And I'm like, "Yeah, but like what? I don't know how else to put it. Like I'm
Not
not okay." And they're like, "But you're getting everything you wanted. Like look at what all you have." And it's like, "Okay, yes, and I'm extremely grateful for that, but that doesn't take away from the pain and the hurt that I'm
Mhm.
feeling right now."
Yeah,
And
it
I
just
wanted
makes
to
you feel
enjoy my pregnancy.
invalidated.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And I wanted to enjoy being pregnant so bad. And so many, one of my friends was like, pregnancy is miserable. I hated being pregnant. It sucked. And I'm like, that's not going to be me. Like I've wanted a baby since, I mean, I would have been a teen mom if it was possible. And, but then that was just not my experience. And
Mhm.
that just made it so much worse because I just I had wanted it for so long, and everything I had dreamed of, it was not that way. And I would try my best to, think of like the positives and be so grateful, and other people were so excited, so try to feed off their energy and like, look at baby clothes and all that stuff, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
And what does that turn into? I know that, you experience also postpartum. Was there ever
Mhm.
a gap between the two, or was it kind of just right straight through into giving birth and then having postpartum depression? And what was that like for you?
It basically went straight through. Um, the morning I went in for my C-section, I did take a last bump picture because Audrey recommended, she's like, "You're gonna wanna take a last bump picture, even though, you know, you haven't had a great time. Make sure you take that picture." And I didn't feel like I was going to have a baby. It just didn't seem real. And I
Mhm.
get to the hospital and, everything, they're getting me all hooked up and prepared for the C-section and stuff, and I was so disassociated from it. Like, when I walked into the hospital, go into, like, the little desk they have at the front, and they're like, "What are you here for?" And I'm like, "I'm here to get this out." Like, I'm not here to have, like, didn't even, I'm
Yeah.
not here to have it. I'm here to get this out. And
Yeah.
my mom and mother-in-law thought it was funny, but just to me, it was just like,
Get it out.
out. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not here to have a baby. I'm here to get it out. Like, and I was fine until I had to be by myself to get my spinal. My husband wasn't allowed in there until basically they were about ready to start the C-section. And it's the second I got by myself, I lost it. I was bawling, and they were like, "What, is some like, are you hurting? Like, is something happening?" And I was like, I'm so scared." And it wasn't scared of the C-section, it was scared of her being here.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't wanna be pregnant anymore, but I didn't want her either.
Yeah.
And I will never forget laying on that C-section table and just hoping, this sounds so bad, but just hoping something would go wrong and I wouldn't make it, just so I would not be in pain anymore.
I don't think
And
it's wrong. I think it's the reality, right? Like I think that's the life that you lived. It's not we all have these thoughts and moments, in different moments of life, and I think that that was just your reality. Like that's how you felt during that time, and I think it just gives a good picture of how serious, postpartum perinatal depression can be. Something that's supposed to be so beautiful can just completely change our psyche of who we are as people and make us think that we're better off not here. So,
right, and
um,
I felt like she would be better off without me. I felt like everyone would be better off without me, and, I was no stranger to feeling that way because I felt that way in that horrible relationship for the longest
mhm,
time, and it was just it was so sad. And I had the greatest staff ever. I had the nicest, like, my anesthesiologist, he was amazing. He called himself the drug dealer. And for, like, like the spinal and making sure like I wasn't in pain and stuff. He called himself Big Ron. He was just great, and he was trying to help me calm down, and he's like, "Hey, you're fine. Like, what kind of music do you like?" And all I could get out was, "I like Morgan Wallen," and I'm, like, bawling, and I'm like, "It's just Morgan Wallen," and so he started playing Morgan Wallen. My daughter was born listening to Morgan Wallen, and the funny part about that is, I rarely felt her move when I was pregnant, but I have one video where I was listening to a Morgan Wallen song, and you could see her moving in my belly. 99% of the time, the only time she would move is if I was playing Morgan Wallen.
knew what she liked before she came out.
And she still loves Morgan Wallen. Like, right now, her favorite song is "I Had Some Help," like Post Malone and Wallen. So,
Yeah, that's
but
awesome.
yeah, and it went straight from like the C-section into back into the room, and I did do skin to skin with her. I thought maybe that would help. And once, friends and family started coming in, they obviously all wanted to hold her. And then to be like, "Do you want her back?" And then, like, "Do you want to hold her now?" And I'm like, "I held her for 9 months. Like, go ahead. I'm good." And,
Yeah.
And when Audrey actually got to the hospital, it was time she needed another bottle in her diaper change, and she's like, "Can I do it? Can I please do it?" And I was like,
Please.
"Absolutely, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, go for it." And then the preeclampsia was so bad, I ended up being on magnesium for 24 hours, and that was I'd never wanna feel like that again. I've never felt so miserable and sick in my life. Like, and I couldn't get up out of bed, which, they want you moving after a C-section after a couple hours.
Hmm.
I couldn't get out of bed for 24 hours. Like, couldn't even roll over to try to get more comfortable. I had TMI, but I had bed sores on my ass, like from not being able to move.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my mom, I was like, "Why do people do this?" And she thought that I meant just like have babies in general, but I'm like, no, like, why do people want to put themselves through this?
Hmm.
It was awful. I've since told my husband, like, if they, for whatever reason, if a doctor ever tries to say I need to be on magnesium again, just no, refuse, let me die. Like, am not going through that again.
Never
That
again.
was horrible. And on top of, fresh out of a C-section, and it was not a fun time.
Yeah. So how long after, right? Like obviously that initial bonding doesn't feel like it's there. So, when does it finally turn for you? Is there a point that you do feel like you're starting to bond with your daughter? Is it months later? Is it when you get home? Is it, when do you feel a light, right?
I would say it is months,
Mhm.
like months and months and months, and the bonding just was not there. I felt like I was babysitting
Mhm.
and not her mother. I didn't feel any type of attachment. I just felt like she was here, and I had to take care of her, so I did, and I did what I had to do, and that's it. I mean, obviously I held her and stuff because, that's she wouldn't cry if I held her, and I would text Audrey every day and just be like, I don't want to do this. Like, why did I ever want this?
Mhm.
And it eventually got to the point where when my daughter was about 6 weeks old, Audrey finally she took it upon herself to find a therapist for me, which if it wasn't for that, I honestly don't know if I would be here having this conversation right now. Like, Audrey truly saved my life. She advocated for me when I could not do it for myself. She found the most amazing therapist that I still see weekly. She's amazing, and she called my husband and was like, "I hate to tell you this, but I'm really worried about your wife. Like, we
Mhm.
we really need to do something here." And he didn't know because I
Yeah, I
was
was
too
gonna
ashamed.
ask where is he in all of this? Like, are you just hiding this? Are you not like speaking to him?
Yeah, I was.
Where is he during these moments?
I mean, he's an amazing father, so an amazing partner, and if I just was ashamed to tell him, I was
Mhm.
embarrassed. I knew he already had so much on his plate, with being our sole provider, because I was staying home with and still do. Well, I recently got a part-time job, but I've been a stay-at-home mom since she was born. So I knew he already had so much on his plate, and was doing the middle of the night feedings for me because it was really hard for me to get up after a C-section, and plus I have to take medicine to be able to sleep anyways.
Mhm.
So he was taking the middle of the night feedings for me and doing anything and everything he could to help me. I couldn't bring myself to tell him, and I also didn't want to ruin his experience of being a first-time dad, because he is so in love with this little girl, and I look at him and it would break my heart, and, like, I'd tear up because it's like, I wanna feel that, and
Mhm.
I don't. It was like, just like I was like the Tin Man, I didn't have a heart. Like, that's how like, I just felt so empty inside, and there was one day, my mother-in-law, she's amazing, she's an angel sent from heaven, like, we don't deserve her, she is the best. She came down to stay, for 2 weeks with us after Rylan was born, her my daughter's name is Rylan. And
Mhm.
there was one day he had got home from a race the night before, and I don't know why. I guess he thought I was asleep, and he rolled over the opposite direction instead of holding me, and it just like broke my heart. And I just wanted him to hold me.
Mhm.
And so the next morning when he got up, I went in our bathroom and I literally sat on the floor and cried for a good 30 to 45 minutes. I guess he maybe thought I was getting ready or something or taking a shower. I don't know. And he came in there to check on me. And I'm just sitting in the floor bawling. And then he sits on the floor with me for a while. And then we just moved to the bed and I was just laying on it. And every time I would seem like I was collecting myself, it'd start all over again. And I couldn't
Mhm.
even get out what was wrong because I couldn't put a specific thing to it. I was just
Sad.
overwhelmed and
Mhm.
sad, tired, and I still didn't even fully tell him then what all was going on. I just was just so sad, and I said I felt like I was failing as a mom, and I from when I was pregnant, I was already feeling like I was failing because I wasn't having these emotions that society tells you you're supposed to have when you're pregnant, when you become a mom.
Do you feel like if
So
there were better, like, resources available to you and, like, conversations might have been different prior, that things maybe could have been different for you in just navigating all of this?
1,000%.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because I didn't know about any of it. Like, I was not educated before getting pregnant, while pregnant, and I was even sent to maternal fetal medicine when I was 12 weeks pregnant. I thought I was going for blood pressure because starting even that early, my blood pressure wasn't right, and I've always had normal blood pressure.
Mhm.
But I get to maternal fetal medicine, and they start talking about my anxiety and depression meds, and I'm like, "Maybe I was just confused about why I was sent here."
Mhm.
And the doctor determined that it would be better for me and it wouldn't affect Rylan while I was pregnant for me to stay on my meds, and he said it would be harder on me to be off my meds, and it would have little to no effect on Rylan. So I went to maternal fetal medicine, and they talked about that, and after that appointment, it was never brought up again. It was just, keep taking your meds.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was no information given to me at all.
And have you had full open and honest conversations with what's your husband's name?
Steven.
With Steven now? Like, is he aware of kind of, like, everything that you went through during that?
Yeah, he knows everything now. I've ended up telling him, well, Audrey told him a lot for me because I just couldn't do it. And
Mhm.
um, after that, I've been completely honest with him about it because I started seeing my therapist once a week, and he was very supportive and very encouraging with that, and always made sure that there would be someone to keep Rylan for me so I could do therapy. And
Mhm.
it was actually medically advised by my therapist for me not to be alone with Rylan a lot just because of how bad I was. And I would have never hurt her. It was me.
Mhm.
Like I could have, and honestly, I don't know if I would have hurt myself, but if it got that serious, it would have been me, not her.
Yeah.
I would have never hurt
Yeah, I
her.
mean, but even so, I know people that have experienced postpartum where it wasn't just them, right? Like, they wanted to hurt their child, they wanted to, like,
Right.
there's serious thoughts and serious things that people go through, um, you know, experiencing postpartum.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a little inflatable pool on our back deck, and I would look at it and be like, I could just drop her in that and it'd all be over.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, it's like I that's not shocking to me, right? Like, that's not because of these conversations that I'm privileged to have with people, like, those thoughts are so common. And it's just like, I think it's important for people to hear that because, like, it might make people feel less alone in those, like, awful things, like, awful thoughts. Like, that
yeah,
is I know people that went through it. Like it's unfortunately just like a common thing. Um, yeah, it's sad, and I feel so much empathy for people that have to do that, that have to deal with not only having this new life to take care of, but dealing and combating with the overwhelming thoughts. That's what there is, like a high percentage of people who commit suicide after,
Right.
giving birth because of these feelings. Like you're getting stripped of all of these, um, you know, what I don't know the technical term for it, like hormones, like there's a physical being leaving your body and leaving your body
Right.
empty of 9 months worth of storage that you're trying to
Yeah.
process. Um,
Yeah.
it's really not talked about enough.
It's not at all, and that's why I'm so grateful for this opportunity, because if I can help just one person, I feel like all the hell that I've been through, it would be if I can help one person to not feel alone, or possibly even like give them the resources to help them that could make a huge impact on your life, then I feel like all the hell and everything that I've been through is worth it.
Mhm,
I don't want people to feel the way I felt. I would never want anyone to feel the way I felt. It's miserable, it's lonely,
mhm,
it's all of the things. And my mom was my biggest support during all of it. And right around when I started therapy, um, is when my mom started keeping her a lot for me.
mhm,
Like when Steven would have to go out of town for a race, he's usually typically only gone 2 nights, 3 nights at the most. Or he comes home on the 3rd night, but doesn't get home till like 6 a.m., like when they're out west, like Vegas or Phoenix.
mhm,
But typically, he will either leave the day before or the morning of, and then they fly back immediately after the race. But, he would leave to go to a race, and Rylan would either already be at my parents' house, or I'd be following him out the driveway to take her to my parents' house. And that was usually a Thursday or a Friday. And I wouldn't go pick her up until Tuesday because I had therapy on Mondays. And I just felt like it would be, my parents live an hour away.
mhm.
So it was just, I felt like it'd be easier for her to stay there so my mom could keep her during therapy instead of driving back and forth, or my mom driving all the way out here. She was the greatest, biggest support ever, and she was amazing with Rylan. Like, I used to say, like, she wasn't meant to be a mom, she was meant to be a grandmother. Like,
Mhm.
she just the way she shined and lit up. I mean, Rylan was her entire world. It was really beautiful to see, and she used to cry. I mean, my mom cried at everything, but, like, we would pick on her about how much
Same.
she would cry and stuff, like the beginning of Finding Nemo, and,
Yeah.
um, there was this other little things, and she's like, I hate that you feel this way, I can't imagine what you're going through," and she's like, "I just don't want you to hurt her," and I'm like, "I'm not gonna hurt her."
I mean,
Like, that
I think that and I don't mean to cut you off, but I think it's important to recognize, like, that decision of you letting someone else watch her and have her for that long period probably saved your life, and could have potentially saved your daughter's life too, right?
Yeah, I
um
totally
and
agree.
and I think that that in itself should make people a little bit more self-aware when they judge someone, like, oh, you're never with your daughter, you're never with your kid, like you're grandparent. And that it's not for all cases, but there could be situations like yours where you're doing it because something bad will happen if you don't, right? Like there's no other
Exactly.
choice. It's not out of neglect. It's not out of anything other than the safety of yourself and your child. And I think it's really important to recognize that.
Yeah, it was definitely for like I said, my therapist, she advised that I not be alone with her that much, especially the weekends that
Hmm.
Steven was gone, or even when he didn't have to travel, my mother-in-law would come stay with us, or my mom would even come and stay with us.
Hmm.
My in-laws live in Virginia, so they're 3 hours away,
Hmm.
but they have been amazing help too. And, now my brother and his wife are expecting their first child, and she's actually due a week before my mom's birthday. So selfishly, I hope that she goes over so the baby's born on my mom's birthday, but I know that's probably not going to be the case. But like one of my biggest fears about, and this is gonna be my first biological niece. Like I have my nieces and nephews like through my
Mhm.
best friends. This is my first like biological niece, and I'm just terrified that, you know, what I've went through, and because Rylan was with my parents for so much at the beginning of her life, that's going to be thrown back in my face. And my brother will be like, you couldn't even take care of your own baby. Why are we going to trust you to take care of ours? Type of situation.
Yeah.
When I've been trying since she was 6 weeks old, I've been doing everything I possibly can to get better for myself and for her,
Mhm.
because it's not fair to her. She didn't ask to be here. She didn't ask for this. And, I didn't ask for this either, but it's not fair to her because she's so little. She doesn't understand. And
Mhm.
I just hope one day, you know, that she forgives me and sees that I tried so hard for her.
Yeah.
And I don't want her to be an only child. I want her to have a sibling, but I honestly don't know if I would survive another pregnancy, especially unless some divine intervention type of like a come to Jesus, like the light shines upon me or something. Like, I don't think I could do it
Yeah, I mean,
again.
it's scary, rightfully so, right? Like it's so unpredictable. Like it could not
Mhm.
happen again, but like if that's how you felt again, like would you be able to survive that? I mean, that's a fair and honest way to look at it. I think it's selfless of you to think that way. Not putting yourself in that situation again and kind of just focusing on the now.
Right. And
I
like
know that.
if oh,
Go ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, and if I did have another baby and my experience was what I always thought I was gonna have, like love being pregnant, feel the baby move, enjoy it, all those things, that would also, I feel like, make me really sad because that's not fair to Rylan either.
Yeah.
Like, she would get the short end of the stick, kind of either way.
Hmm.
And that's so not fair to her. And she's such a good kid. Like, she's 21 months now, and she is, um, I call her Wreck-It Rylan instead of Wreck-It Ralph, like the Disney movie.
Yeah.
And she's like a real life Donnie Thornberry, but she's so funny and just the greatest little personality. She's hilarious. Like you can ask her to smile, and instead of she goes,
How's your relationship with her changed now?
"It's a lot better now."
Mhm.
I feel like it's gotten a lot easier because she's getting older, um, and she's in speech therapy. She's still not talking a lot, and she's still
Mhm.
not saying mama, which is really chaps my ass because it's like, ma'am, I have been taking care of you from day what I carried you. I went through, like, I could have, like, I'd be dramatic and say I could have died from preeclampsia. Like,
Yeah.
I was gutted like a fish to get you out of me. And you could say dada, but you won't say mama. Like, I'm with you all day, every day. Like, come on, girl.
Yeah.
And but it's gotten a lot better since the older she's getting. And, she I swear she's like the definition of a Sour Patch Kid too, because she'll do something just like totally mean and then come up to you and give you the biggest hug or kiss,
Mhm.
and then it's like, oh, and she just does the cutest thing. She's hilarious. She is addicted to Bluey, and she dances to the theme song. Like we say, Rylan, shake your booty, and she'll put her little hands out, and she has this whole little dance that she does.
I love it.
She's
Um,
so cute. I wish I could, like, insert a picture of or a video of her dancing because it's so
you'll
precious.
have to send some photos over for me to be able to share. Well, if you're comfortable with it too.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
but I did want to touch on, I know that we've been, I don't want to run out of time without kind of speaking on this because I know that it's currently, something that you're struggling, well, not struggling, like you're just going through, and that's you spoke about your mom and you spoke about the impact that she made on just you being able to take care of yourself and kind of stepping in. And then, we've unexpectedly lost her. And I'd like to for you to kind of just speak on those feelings a little bit. When did it happen? What that experience was like? I mean, going through everything you went through and then kind of losing your biggest support. What what was that like for you?
Oh my gosh, it's still to this day is so hard. I'm gonna try to talk about it without crying.
Mhm.
I put waterproof mascara on just in case, but so, Rylan had just turned 8 months old. My husband was having an event at his work, and I had taken Rylan there the day before, and just so, like, I wouldn't have to rush and get her, there and back the day of the event. My dad was going as well. And when I dropped Rylan off, my mom, she said her leg was bothering her. And, her legs were always like swollen. She drank a lot, but after Rylan was born, she stopped. I mean, she completely changed her life when Rylan was born.
Mhm.
And so I just, thought maybe her leg was hurting, just maybe from like, walking the dog or something, anything. So the next night at the work event, my dad said, if your mom's not feeling any better tomorrow, you may have to come get Rylan so I can take her to the hospital. I said, okay, that's fine. And, I could have came and got her the day of the week. We could have brought her. But anyways, so the next morning my dad calls me and he's like, you need to get here like now. Like we're waiting for you to come get Rylan so we can go to the emergency room. And I was,
Mhm.
okay. And there was this huge, like it looked like a blood blister, but huge on her leg, and you could just tell she didn't feel good and just really wasn't herself. And so they went to the emergency room closest to their house. They quickly figured out that she needed to be in ICU at a different hospital. They just had to wait for a bed to be open. She ended up getting transferred around midnight that night, and once she got in there, she accidentally FaceTimed me at like 1 o'clock in the morning. And Rylan and I had tried to FaceTime her earlier, and we did like the FaceTime voicemail thing
Mhm.
where you can like record a video. And I think she said she was trying to watch it, but accidentally called me. And that was the last time I heard her voice. The next day, my dad called me and said, you know, it's not looking good right now. Your mom, she's going into surgery. They were going in to try to remove some dead tissue out of her leg. Um, she had, I believe it was 2 forms of strep in her leg, which I didn't even know you could get strep anywhere other than your throat. And by the time I got to the hospital, she was on a ventilator. And exactly 2 weeks later, from her going to the emergency room, she passed. And it's so, so hard. And I'm still so angry about it. It's not fair. She was only 60. She had so much life ahead of her. And, she has another grandbaby on the way. And it just happened so fast and out of nowhere. And I'll never forget my dad um, was waiting for me and one of my best friends in the lobby so he could walk us back to where the ICU was and stuff. And that was the first time I think that I'd like seen my dad cry. And
Mhm.
his voice kind of broke and was like, your mother's very sick. Um, if he told me that she was on the ventilator, I don't remember it. So when we went in there and she was on it, I was like, oh my God, like this is so much worse than I was imagining. And like even the day before, while I was talking to her before she went to the emergency room, she was planning on keeping Rylan Monday for me to have therapy. And I'm like, well, what if they admit you? And she goes, well, surely I'll be out by then. And She was awake a couple times when I went to see her and I'd mentioned Rylan, and she would really perk up then. I made like a poster board with a bunch of pictures, so if she was awake, she could look at that. And I tried to talk to her about stuff because that I was I never thought that she was gonna pass. Like
Mhm.
it was like she's gonna come out of this. She'll be home. So I would try to tell her things that so when she got off the ventilator and could talk, I could ask her if she remembered me telling her that, little things. And she
And how
just
long has it been now? Has it been a little over a year?
yeah,
Yeah.
it was a year on February 16th
Okay.
that
Yeah.
she passed, and it's been the worst year ever. Um, and I feel like I'm grieving for me and for Rylan too,
Mhm.
because my mom was amazing with her. And sorry, and it's actually really sweet. I have 2 pictures of my mom and Rylan above Rylan's bed on a shelf, so it's kinda like, when she's sleeping, my mom could be looking out for her, and she started doing this on her own, but, like, we go to put her down for a nap or
Ooh,
get her up.
bad time for my camera to shut off.
"Hey, Susan."
Is that your mom?
It has if some weird stuff like that, I'm gonna assume.
For real. Hey, Susan. For people listening, my camera just shut off unexpectedly. So I believe in that kind of stuff. So she's here saying hi for sure.
Yes, that was there's little things, I swear, all the time that is absolutely my mom, but what Rylan the pictures above her bed, Rylan started doing this on her own before we'd lay her down for a nap or for bed or get her up. The first thing she would do was she started looking at those pictures, and she'd blow my mom a kiss and wave.
Hmm.
And so now every time before we lay down, we're like, "Tell grandma good night." And she's like, and so sometimes she'll just look at the pictures and smile. And then there's other times where she's like, before she falls asleep, before her nap, or before bed, or when she first wakes up, and she's just in there like giggling. I'm like, okay, that's a little bit creepy. But also, like, I feel like my mom is kind of in there. I mean, I have
Yeah.
her ashes in this
Mm.
necklace, and my dad gave us all a little urn about this big with ashes in it. So, she's in here. And there's actually a really crazy thing that happened. For our baby monitor, we have, it's called the Nanit, and,
Mm.
you can go back and look at, like, if it detects a movement, a sound, whatever, you can go back and see it. And there was one night we had been in Virginia for Thanksgiving visiting my in-laws, and it was the first night we got back. And I was looking at the Nanit, just checking on Rylan, and I noticed there was like it looked like something fuzzy was on the camera, and it was moving. And I'm like, what the hell could that be? And so I'm like turning my phone and like trying to zoom in and stuff. And I swear on everything, this when I turned it and zoomed in, it was the silhouette of my mom's face. And I went back and recorded it, and I sent it to Audrey, and I said, "Do you see what I see?" And she said, "I know what you're talking about, and yes." And I've showed my mother-in-law, and she's like, "It that really did look like her." And it ended up like it wouldn't go off the camera. I ended up going in there and like barely cracking the door open and like touching the camera and like getting it off.
Yeah.
But I fully believe that was her.
We don't have that much time left, so I want to make sure I get to a couple more just questions just about
Okay.
what it's like now, right? Like what is it now that you do to take care of yourself? What do you do now to take care of your mental health and in all things that have happened, right? Like how do you take care of yourself? How do you take care of your daughter? How do you make sure that you stay continuously on that right track of just supporting your own needs?
Well, shortly after my mom passed, I was admitted into an intensive outpatient therapy program. I was in therapy for 10 hours a week for 16 weeks.
Mhm.
And that came at the recommendation of my therapist because if I didn't do that, she was going to make me go to the hospital for a mandatory psych hold because that was so bad after she died. And it's like, I felt like all the progress I had made just went out the window. And I told my therapist, I wish it had been me instead of my mom. Like Rylan would have been better off having my mom than she would have had been with me. And so almost immediately I was put into that program, and that helped tremendously, being able to talk to other women who were going through, not necessarily losing their parent, but like the perinatal and postpartum depression. And that's actually when I found out what perinatal depression was, and that
Mhm.
I had a perinatal mood and anxiety disorder. They call it a PMAD, but it stands for perinatal mood and anxiety disorder. So Rylan was like 9 months old before I even found out about the perinatal depression, which is insane to me.
Mhm.
Like how could go that long without, being informed of what's actually going on with me. And so that really helped. I'm still in weekly therapy, seeing my therapist that Audrey found for me. She's fantastic. She's amazing. Um, my mother-in-law comes down and will help especially when Steven's out of town. Steven tries to give me some breaks whenever he can, or like I'll go get my nails done or, something, or even just like walk around Target or something just to have a
Yeah.
little bit of time to myself, because I haven't been away from her for more than 24 hours since my mom died over a year ago. So it gets very overwhelming and just burnt out.
Mhm.
So there's things that like my family helps me with that allow me to have a little bit of a break so I don't get to a really bad place again.
Yeah, as we kind of lean to wrapping things up, what advice would you give someone that might be currently struggling in silence?
Speak up and don't stop speaking up until someone does something about it. Like, if they try to dismiss you, don't let them. There are resources out there, and you're like, I don't want anyone to ever feel the way I felt and feel alone. And I want them, if anyone out there is struggling right now, like, you are not alone. There are other people that feel the same way or have been through the same thing that they're experiencing. And it sucks, but if you can get the help or get into therapy, it truly does help. Like, just can advocate for yourself, or if you feel like you can't do it, talk to a friend that you trust, talk to your partner, your mom, dad, whoever is closest to you, like the way that Audrey advocated for me when I couldn't bring myself to do it. Be honest with people, because people can't help you if they don't know that you're suffering.
Mhm.
And that's a big thing too that I think my husband has struggled with. He's like, I wish I'd have known that you were going through all this so I could have helped you. And it's like, I was too embarrassed to say anything. And then when I would say something, it would be dismissed by like medical professionals. So just speak up, shout it from the roof, to like do whatever you have to do to get someone to listen.
Yeah. And what's next for you in your healing journey?
It's just keeping up with therapy, um, trying to do more fun things with my daughter, get out of the house more, because it was a long time I didn't even want to leave the house.
Mhm.
Um, Making sure that, if I need a break, that I ask for it so I don't get so overwhelmed. Um, there's also some tools that I learned through the IOP that have helped. And try to do things in my mom's honor or in her memory, because I know she wouldn't want me to be sad all the time, and she would hate if I was still suffering. She wouldn't want me to still be suffering. She would want me to, be the mom that she always said that I could be. And, just keeping her memory alive too is very important to me. And I think this is a big part of it. I've never told this whole story to anyone, besides, my immediate family
Mhm.
and best friends. So talking about it is definitely I think a good step too. That so to
Yeah.
help not only help me heal, but like if, this can help one person, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and if people want to reach out to you, if you're comfortable with that, where can they find you? If you have like an email or a social media handle or Instagram, whatever you're comfortable with sharing if someone wants to reach out.
Yeah, it's Nicole Steffi. On Instagram, it's Nicole_Steffi, NICOLE_Steffi, STEFFE. And then Facebook, Nicole Steffi. I do have TikTok, but I don't really post that much on there. It's more for like watching like the
Just
basement yard
doom
videos
scrolling.
and,
Yeah.
and I don't really post much on there, but like maybe I should and start like talking about this more.
Yeah.
Um, but definitely talking about it. And so, like, we've suffered in silence, like, people going through postpartum, we've suffered in silence for so long because it's so taboo to talk about. And I know people are going to be like, how could you ever feel this way about your baby? It's like, I didn't ask for this. I didn't choose this. I didn't want this.
Hmm.
It's, this is I never thought it would happen, and it
Yeah.
did. And so I don't want people to go through the same things that I did. So if anyone wants to reach out to me, they're more than welcome. There's actually my therapist, she's on the board of Postpartum Support International. So there's a website. It is available across the world. It's postpartum.net, and they have a lot of support groups on there that are free and a bunch of resources. There's all kinds of groups on there for whatever you're going through. And there's even support groups for like um, your husband or your partner, whoever, for other people to help you get better as well. So
Hmm.
there's all kinds of stuff. And then I also do want to shout out the place that helped me, that's their Anchor Perinatal Wellness. They're based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and unfortunately it's only for people that live in North Carolina. So if people do live out here, Anchor is an amazing place. Um, they really did help me. They do amazing work, and it's one of the I don't know if there's even more than one place like
Hmm.
Anchor, but it specifically focuses on like the perinatal and postpartum depression and stuff, and they're so helpful and so kind, and I owe them a lot. I didn't want to graduate. Like that's what it's called when you're done with the program, and I loved it so much. I didn't even want to graduate. So it's nice not feeling alone, like being able to talk about what you're feeling and knowing that people aren't going to judge you or, you know, talk negatively about you or things. Like people are going through the exact same thing you are. And it's so nice to like, I had to do it virtually because I live so far away from Raleigh, but just like seeing other people's faces and know, like they are suffering too, but none of us are alone in it.
And this episode will just be able to just help you make a difference in someone's life. There's, one person at least that's going to listen and just feel less alone in their struggles. I just want to, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and your honesty and bravery in talking about perinatal depression, postpartum struggles, and grief is something so many people need to hear. These conversations don't happen enough, and your willingness to open up will help so many mothers feel less alone in their struggles. To anyone listening, if you're experiencing postpartum depression or grief, please know that you're not alone and there's support available. And thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time on For the Haters. Thank you, Nicole, for being so open and just being willing to share your story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for letting me share my story. I really hope it does help someone. 'Cause that's all that I want. Again, I know I've said it before, but like I'm very grateful for this. And if it just helps one person to not feel alone or know that they have, options and there is people that can help them and, all that. And I so appreciate you having me on. This has been great. Thank you so much for letting me
Yeah,
talk about this.
of course. Thanks for listening to For the Haters. Don't forget to connect with us on socials, follow, like, and share to help more people find this community, and remember, they're not alone. And if you haven't yet, join our Facebook group. We'd love to have you there. The more we grow, the more lives we can impact.
What's your name and share your story? We'll be waiting.